Hector from New Leaf, going to be New Leaf Studios at some point.
Yes, very
Yeah,
soon.
so he's back again for like the third time. Uh, we're not really going to go over questions because we basically know everything about everything. So,
You guys know me already.
so maybe if people don't know who you are, you can like say who you are and
Yeah,
whatever.
man, I'm getting pretty good at this now. I think uh got some practice. Yeah, my name's Hector, and I go by the name Hilo. I'm the art director and lead artist at New Leaf Comics, New Leaf Studios, soon to be. And yeah, so that's who I am. I work freelance as an illustrator for Maui Studios in New Zealand.
Okay.
It's a little bit about me.
Um, yeah. Uh, you have a game that's out right now
We
that's
do.
from The Office.
Yeah.
Well, the name is. So what's that about? And then, yeah.
Uh, Um, actually, it's funny because the concept of the game came from an inside joke like within the office. But just so we didn't have any like legal issues, we didn't want to like include a whole bunch of stuff like office related stuff into the game. So we kind of just went with just the gameplay of it, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna try to focus on that aspect of it. But now that it's out, it's like I wish we did actually include more um office related things, like maybe just trivia, you know what I mean, like stuff that's not really like trademarked, copywritten stuff like that. But basically it's just like a simple basketball shooter game. It has kind of like a trajectory based gameplay, kind of like Angry Birds, where you like pull back and then it has the little dots come up and stuff, and you just it's a very simple game. It's actually our first attempt at making games. And obviously, it kind of you have to start somewhere, so that's kind of like where we started. But yeah, I mean it's pretty fun. It's got like 75 levels, three like bonus levels. There's like an arcade kind of gameplay where it's like more pinball kind of thing. We're actually thinking about updating and adding some new aspects to the game, but we're not quite sure yet because we're developing a few games, a few of our next games. So we're kind of more focused on developing something else as opposed to like reinventing, kind of what's already there.
Yeah. The other games, are they like sort of similar, or are they gonna be like completely different?
Completely different. Yeah. The next game that we have coming out is called Kill Code, and it's basically like a virus hacker kind of like theme or genre. But it's another simple game. We're doing hyper casual games, so basically, most of our games you're gonna be able to play while you're sitting on the toilet with one finger kind of thing. We just want to keep it very simple, very like, just again, just kind of like fun, simple, nothing really story based or no RPGs or anything like that quite yet. While we build up the portfolio of games.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I messaged you last weekend, I think. Yeah, it was last weekend. I woke up like super early in the morning because my
Oh
stupid
yeah.
job, and I woke up to pictures because I fell asleep at like 7 or something the night before. I woke up to pictures of like what the map looks like and like updates on what he has because I paid him like some of the money towards it. And
Mm.
I'm like, do you think I can get like pictures? He's like, oh yeah, I'll give you like a bunch of stuff. I was like, oh, okay. And then sent me pictures. I'm gonna like make a video of it probably like because I already made like a post yesterday on Facebook telling people about the December thing that we're doing, the
Yeah.
mystery thing, and
Hmm.
that just became like a really good idea to me because it's gonna be a break from this podcast. I want to try to make this podcast better because there's another podcast that I listen to now that's Joe Vallon. He has his own podcast called the Matey Pen Podcast,
Mm.
and we actually were on that, and we're going to be on that. Like our episode's going to come out in January, and he does this thing called like a Joe Venture, and he just creates a story like as we go. and he rolls
Mm.
like dice, so it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. It's awesome.
Sick.
We all do something like that, but just try to make it better because he has like sound effects and all that other stuff. I could technically do that right now. It's just like I'm working on like 5,000 other things at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, I woke up and then I got pictures of like the map, and he just had like a basic character of like a firefighter, which is kind of cool because that's
Yeah.
like the main character.
Mhm.
And he said, "So what do you like really want in the game?" And I was like, "Oh." So I told him like, "Oh, well, I want like the radio that's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. So like you put the music in. Um, we're gonna put like MP3 files and then either loop it or something
Mhm.
and make like a playlist for a bunch of different genres." Um, and I never got so excited about an art gallery. He had pictures of he built an art gallery, like the entire like he made the ceiling had this weird lattice kind of pattern, and when the moon or sun shines on it, there's like actual shadow on the
Yeah.
ground. It's awesome. And then there's glass cases where you can put like artistic sculptures and stuff in there. So I'll actually try to get stuff like that from people. There's uh, canvas spots where people can put paintings and stuff. And you said you had art like a while ago that you actually want to put it in there.
Yeah.
There's a couple other people that want to put their stuff on there, so there's enough space in that entire gallery that I would be able to have like a bunch of different indie art. Um, and then the other thing he has built, which is one of my favorite things, is the movie theater. You can actually go inside the movie theater and watch a movie, except there's some thing that just happened. Like someone hacked into something, so we can't stream videos.
Mm.
Like what we were going to do, you were gonna like stream a video, and you would just be able to watch whatever the video that we're streaming, like every hour or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out a different way for that. But yeah, that's what our Kickstarter is going to be next year, is for that whole thing. So that's finally coming out.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
Super cool. Super
yeah,
cool idea.
yeah. He said there's already billboard stuff in place to promote other people. There's and then I also said like he said for unique characters, I was like confused at first. He said that he has a guy that makes like unique characters, so like 3D models them.
Mhm.
There's generic characters which are like no money and like that doesn't matter. But like he said, unique characters that are part of the story are $75 each. So that kind of he was like mentioning a bunch of stuff that just gave me ideas for our Kickstarter that we're gonna do.
Right.
So like um they're like uh John Benson, like he's our main character. We could actually like get him made and he'll actually be in there, but like the whole story, the whole game is technically in the background of like our actual comic. So like
Mhm.
things happen, but I was like, I don't know if this will take a lot of time and stuff, but like there's gonna be specific jobs to whatever you pick. So like as a character. So let's say you put your name, whatever, and then you are either a cop, a firefighter, or there's a couple other ones. But let's say you're a firefighter. The beginning of the game starts with the fire that happens at Psycorp, and it actually shows like you have to like do a little tutorial because he's like, oh well, it makes sense for people to know the controls first.
Yeah.
Um, so you do the tutorial and then you get into the fire truck and then you actually like head down to Psycorp and then you try to put the fire out, but that's not gonna happen. And then
Mhm.
you actually get to see John like run into the fire. So it'll probably be like a shadow character or something, because I don't know. And then, or maybe actually him. And then he'll actually run in, and then like the building will collapse, and then that'll be like the end of that like quest. But
Mhm.
that's like how we want to build up around it. And then there'll be other quests like during um, the month or whatever until we release the next comic. But
Right.
yeah, yeah. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be there's a lot of depth to just playing in the game, related to the comics, which I always thought was a fantastic idea.
Yeah. And in the future, we actually want to like go to other people's like comic universes if that's possible. Uh, Sort of a spoiler, but I don't know, not really. Like later on in our comics, we like let people know that we're in like a separate galaxy, so we're not in the Milky Way galaxy. We're in like our own like kind of galaxy,
Hmm.
and like how people get into like a realm and stuff. We go over all that, but for the map, you'll actually there'll be some way for you to go to other people's like universe through like a portal or something. So that would be
Right.
pretty cool one day. And then uh, if someone else actually has that map like constructed to their own world, say like you have your whole world built on your own map, that'd be cool if like someone can go through our game to your game.
Right.
That would be pretty cool if that could be like a thing.
Well, that's something that we were actually really interested in when you guys, brought up the idea initially of creating like a playable map and stuff. I was like, yeah, I definitely want that on our website. I want something like that, especially because we're moving into like the gaming genre. And I mean, we're starting off with arcade style games, but the goal is obviously to, you know, incorporate our characters, our ideas, our storylines into games,
Yeah,
in different fashions. Um, and we really, when we first started talking about games, like we weren't thinking like 3D, full on 3D games. It was definitely more like 8-bit, 16-bit, kind of like games, like brawler games, stuff like that. Like stuff that's really just kind of fun. Some of the stuff that we grew up with as kids, you know what I mean? Like that kind of style, like the retro gaming kind of thing. But the more that we are creating these games, like two-dimensional games, it's like we want to jump into 3D like already.
yeah,
And so it'll probably be that, a lot of our games, uh, maybe in like a year or two, are going to be like all 3D, and we're just going to do, 3D games from here on out. So most definitely we want a map like that, of our superhero universe for sure. So hopefully within the next year and a half, we actually have some of those able to release, and then people get context to like what our superhero universe looks like.
yeah, that'd be cool. What else?
Yeah, because you guys don't even know anything about our universe at all either. So it's kind of a surprise for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I was on IndieCom TV because like they had to fill a spot like super quick. Someone else like bailed because they were busy or something, and I'm I'm thinking of maybe like starting next year. I'll start doing a show or something on there for a couple, and then add
Mm,
our podcast as part of like their thing, because he he became more of like a fan of our platform once he actually saw the website like in not in person but like on camera because
yeah.
the person that was interviewing me was I can't say his last name, but his first name he goes by Coffee, but his name's Chester, and they
Yeah.
have like a bunch of artists and writers and all that stuff on IndieCom, like their whole um, community over there is like
Hmm.
completely different community from like what we see on like Facebook and our own community. So
Hmm.
like just merging those together would be like sick. Um, and there's like a bunch of like different teams broken up through like Facebook groups and Instagram. So I want to like try to get as many as we can like in one area. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, our ideas are not that unique in terms of creating a community and, helping each other and that kind of stuff, creating platforms for indies to kind of, have more of a marketplace.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's cool that, or it would be cool if, we could just kind of, like you said, merge the
yeah,
groups of people together, get our networks to be a lot bigger, a lot stronger. And then, we go to Comic Cons and stuff like that, and we kind of have this like brotherhood of like, yeah, we're gonna like try and help each other out kind of thing. So,
yeah,
and it's funny because I was actually just telling I went to dinner with like a couple friends, and they, they're not into the comic industry, at all. But my friend Omar, he's into comics. Like he really does like the comics and like the MCU and all that kind of stuff. So he definitely is into it. He just doesn't know the process of it. So I was kind of explaining like, as an illustrator, this is kind of how things are done. And one of the questions that gets asked all the time by people that like aren't in the industry is like, well, why don't you do Comic Cons? Like, why don't you go and set up a booth at Comic Con and stuff like that? And the main response, because there's like many reasons why, like if especially if you're an indie creator, you
Yep.
should not go and display your work at a Comic-Con.
Right.
Especially bigger ones like Wizard World or C2E2. Like here in Chicago we have those.
Yeah.
Because first of all, if nobody knows your work, if you're an independent artist, you don't typically have a humongous following of people. And then if you're displaying at a huge Comic Con like that, you're basically competing with bigger companies,
Yeah.
trying to outshine a bigger company where they have more resources, they have a bigger booth, three, four, 5 times bigger than you would have. More stuff going on. They're giving away stuff, so it's like you're competing with people that like you really stand no chance against.
Yeah.
And it's not really competing, but it's more competing for people to walk by your booth and spend money. So it's not really competing in terms of like my book is better than yours. It's more or less like, I need people to come and support me. I need people to actually buy stuff that's on my table. So that's kind of the main thing. But yeah, it's a huge expense, especially if you're a single, like if you're doing work on your own, you're just, it's just that your best outlet for that kind of scenario is just going in there and doing fan art, because people are going to buy that. People are going to see, even if they've seen, 50 different Wolverine sketches, as they're walking down, this artist alley, yours might stand out to them, so even though it's a very flooded marketplace in terms of doing fan art, like it's really competitive. That's where the money is, you know what I mean? So if you go to a Comic Con, you really shouldn't go as an independent unless you have like backing funding. You're for sure like this is the risk is small, the reward is great, or they're kind of at the same level. But if you don't have a huge following and you're trying to go to a Comic Con, it's kind of like a waste of time and money and resources. You could just spend that on something else, like spend that money on growing your following, and then again when the risk and reward ratio kind of balances out, then you go to a Comic Con and set up a table and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because I see like on in Facebook groups and stuff all the time, like people, I don't. It's not complaining. It's more like they're frustrated because they're put in like a corner at the convention, and then you have some other person that is well known is like out in the middle. So like we literally saw that. Me and Dylan went to the Albany Comic and Toy Show, and that was one of the. I think that was the first Comic Con like that we ever went to, and this guy was literally on these like bricks, like this small little brick island. It was in a hotel, and it was like
okay,
it was just this little corner to the side that was like a cupcake vendor was like actually had a space. He like got his table on this like brick setup thing, and that's where he was. Like they didn't have room for him. It's like that's
right.
stupid. I wish there was like a. I think there is like an indie one somewhere, but I don't know where. If there was like a Comic Con, it was just indie people, because then you don't need to like compete with anybody. You could just be like, oh, like go to this person, go to that person.
Well,
So
there's I know in Illinois, I mean, there's several actually that go on throughout the year that are like smaller, the much smaller. Like you don't really see like if you see anybody that's from like Marvel or something like that, they're really just vendors. They're like selling shirts or selling the actual comics themselves, but they're not like there's no artists that go like Marvel comic artists that go there and stuff like that. Um, there's actually like two or three that we're super interested in because they're more like indie conventions. Um, but yeah, even still, I mean, again, the costs, if you're not ready to go to something like that, if you don't have a lot of work, to fill up your table,
yeah,
just like and I mean, I've been to just to like get on the point of like you said that it seemed like they didn't have space for like this artist. Um I heard rumors, I don't know if it's true or not, but at Wizard World they were talking about, or I heard rumors of, I heard conversation of them actually reducing the artist alley in favor of bringing in like gaming. So basically, like they're going to reduce the size for independent artists. They're going to, upgrade the size for gaming and merchandise because again, that's like where the money is. So instead of going to a comic book convention where you're actually seeing creators create comics and like you get the actual feel of what the comic industry is, it's just going to be like a money grab. It's just going to be like selling merchandise like crazy.
Like we want to go. I actually kind of want to start conventions next year, but not a lot. I feel like our artist for Ink, he goes to like I I don't even know how many. He does a lot. He just
Yeah.
is going to one like right now this weekend. So, but I think that's the last one of the year.
Yeah.
But they go to like 20 of them or more like a year. And I'm like, how do you spend the money?
Yeah.
Because I want
I
to go to
mean,
the Chicago one or something, and then like we could all like be there together. But I would have to get like a hotel and all that stuff. So yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah, let me know, man. If you want to come over, I mean, we can arrange some stuff. I mean, you can. I got a couch you can crash on.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, this is part of why we're forming the community, right? So we can
yeah.
help each other out in this in
Um,
various ways.
well, if they would rather do more gaming than stuff, I would like go as like if we're since we're creating games, we could go as
Right.
like gaming like developers, but we're like, oh, well, we have comics.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, what's that? And they like read that and they're like, wow, your comic is like good. I'm like, yeah, no, like amazing.
Let me correct you right there.
uh, but yeah. I saw Taurus Comics just released like a teaser video of like some animated thing that he wants to do.
Yeah.
So that just like put like a fire up like into me, like, oh well, I kind of really want to do that now. Yeah, I want to. I've always wanted to do like animated shows and stuff.
Sure.
And even though like we just have one comic, oh, two comics that are finally coming out. When we have a couple more, I want to actually start doing like shows and stuff.
Mhm.
And those shows would actually go onto the map too. That would be part of like TV that you can actually watch. So I actually want to like talk to him if he actually does do that. He said something about like cost or something, but
Yeah, I mean, just depending on what format you're trying to do. So if you're doing like 3D rendered kind of like animations,
yeah,
if you already have the models, like if you say you like the unique character kind of models and stuff like that, like if you already have the models and they're rigged and all that kind of stuff, I guess it can be like more cost effective. But if you're doing like hand-drawn animation, which was what I seen
yeah,
the tours video you're talking about, that's just like so extensive, you know what I mean? Like it's a huge, like I've done a bit of animation in my past, so it's a lot of work. It's a massive undertaking, and then if you want to do it on a consistent basis, you have to have like a nice team set up where everybody's in their place, a nice budget, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was kind of surprised when I seen that animation because it was really well put together. um and it showed like all of their comics, like all the comics that are out right now, it like
yeah.
showed and transitioned into all of them. So I was like, oh, this is a cool like trailer. Like I didn't know that they were interested in actually like making animations on a consistent basis, but as a trailer that was dope.
Yeah. We have a guy from like North Carolina or something that I did a Fiverr gig with like months ago or like a year ago or something. It was. I think it was a year ago. Wow. And he wants to do like voiceover stuff or whatever for like shows. So we already have
Yeah.
that set up, and we technically have a studio because it's his studio. So like we're slowly getting all the like moving pieces. But
Right.
I really want to do like shows and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. It definitely like a lot of money, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but that's where, an awesome fan base like whoever's watching this comes into play and helping us get it, all those things accomplished, especially when um, we're doing most of the stuff that we do, and I don't know if people really understand this, like most of the stuff you see our social media platforms, creating a website, even just doing the artwork. I mean, you guys especially, I kind of like save my company or my team money by being the artist, but you guys kind of have to always pay for art, you know? But all that stuff comes out of our pocket. Like we're doing this because we love what we do. We want to make it into something that we can do on a full time, and that requires investment first, you know. So all of those things, all the things you see as a viewer, that came out of somebody's pocket. So if we can get some support like through Kickstarter, through crowdfunding, by any means, Patreon, all that kind of stuff. It just helps make things easier, and we're still going to be investing. It's not like we're not going to, you know, we're just taking all your money and like that's it. Like it's more or less just helping get things done quicker, you know, like, okay, I can prioritize this because I actually have, you know, funding from Kickstarter to actually do that, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, you want to do a Kickstarter in like January or something, so
yeah,
we're definitely gonna promote that. Crossbones just like he met his goal like the other day. That
yeah.
was cool. Like I randomly went on it and it was like 700 something. I went to sleep or went to work or did something. Then I looked at it again, and then it's like past 1,000. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm like, make
Yeah.
sure you do a stretch goal or something to like try to we had like 6 people back out of our Kickstarter, and
Hmm.
they weren't like that much money. But actually, 2 people are. One person already gave us money through our PayPal because I was like, "Oh, your like pledge dropped." He's like, "What? Why did it drop?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know, your card or something," and it's like past the deadline. I was like,
Mm.
"He's like, can I still like get the stuff?" I'm like, "If you want to put the money back," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay," and then he like did it like that. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." So like 4 of the 6 people like are like dropped, but that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad ratio at all.
Yeah, no, like at first I didn't think anyone would drop, and then one kid like that I went to school with, he like didn't have that much money, and then he only did like $16 or something, but he needed money to do something that he wanted to do that day, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I forgot that I could like issue people a refund,
Refunds.
and it
Yeah.
actually comes like super quick because he's like, oh, I already got it. I was like, oh, wow, all right. So he's like, I need gas to get to like where I have to go for like work. And I'm like, oh, that's a little more important than giving me $16 or 19 or whatever. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's something I know we had talked about in the last time that we spoke because we were talking about Kickstarters. But maybe that's something we should really make people aware of when we're doing Kickstarters. Like if you back now, like it's gonna take until this thing gets funded before it goes through. So like just try and put, you know, if you're gonna back us, if you're gonna spend $30 or whatever, just put that like away somewhere just so like this kind of stuff doesn't happen. And it, you know, it's for us, but it's also for them because like you said, the dude didn't even know like his card got declined or something. He just,
Yeah.
you know, it kind of went out of his mind. Maybe he was like, you know, dealing with some other finances or something like that and just totally forgot like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to have $20 available for these guys to, you know, back their Kickstarter. It's going to go through pretty soon. So
Yeah.
um,
So I uh I actually had to change a couple of my pledges for stuff because I I had a paycheck like get all fucked up. They like didn't pay. They only gave me like $200 of my 600 something paycheck.
oh
I was
geez.
like, what happened here? He's like, oh, I'll fix that. And I was like, yeah, please. So it got fixed like really quick, but like the campaign that I was backing, like I gave him like $160.
Oof.
Yeah, because you can be a character, and then I'm trying to like put our name anywhere I can,
Yeah.
like whatever I can do to try to like get Sierra Nova comics like all over the place, and like so people could just see it.
Yeah.
And that was gonna be one of the ways, and I had to like lower it to like $1 or something. I was like, yeah, that sucks. But
Yeah.
so yeah, things like that happen because it happens to me too. But yeah, that I was trying to say something and I forgot what I was going to say. Um, oh, so our magazine. I came up with the idea at work because the only thing I can do overnight is think of things for my business.
Right.
And I was like, that'd be kind of cool if there was like a magazine. Because first we had this hashtag, the Indie Revolution hashtag, but it was just a hashtag, and like you can't own a hashtag. Gary Vee even says that like you can make a hashtag, but like anyone can fucking use a hashtag. I was like,
Right.
yeah, you don't like own it, and like more people are like using it and stuff, which is cool because like when you put in the hashtag, it shows you like how many people like tags
Mhm.
are for that. And it's like over 1,000. It's over 9,000. So um, it's like over 1,000 or something, and I was like, I want to do something more than just it be a hashtag for like
Right.
ever. So I came up with an idea of like having a magazine, and instead of our Instagram being the host of like special days, so like Webcomic Wednesday and stuff like that, we'll still do that in some form. But next year, I am planning on probably like revamping like what we're going to be doing on social media
Sure.
because um, this magazine, well, I got a lot of people that are very interested in it. The post I'm doing today is actually to create a team for it. So
Mm.
I'm actually trying to. People are always like saying, "Oh, like if you like need help with something, yeah, I'm gonna need help," because I just asked for people's emails and I'm gonna send questions to everybody. Uh, they'll be for articles and stuff, and then one guy that's on our website, they're called the Stone Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, guy Gavin, he like instead of it being monthly, I think it would be more cost effective and everything if like it was quarterly. I was like, that's a better idea. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it quarterly, and it's gonna have Kickstarter. It's gonna have like the upcoming Kickstarters and like what is on Kickstarter that's indie,
Mm.
um, like indie comics or whatever. Um, and then so there'll be like a list of those, and then maybe there'll be some like what the Kickstarter's about. Like so yours would be on there. I don't know if you're doing it like January 1st, but um,
No, probably not. We're probably gonna wait for that like whole seasonal rush thing to kind of be over.
yeah, I would wait because when we were doing our crowdfunding campaigns, it was like October time, and I don't think it's the greatest to like have like you can always do one because Rob Anderson on Facebook says you can always do a crowdfunding campaign and it could work depending on like if it's themed correctly. So like if you do a Christmas one and you like do it around this time, but then you won't get it until after Christmas if you do it around this time. You probably
Right.
won't get it until like January or something. So but if you do a Halloween one around this time, that'll work. Um but like ours did not work. One, we didn't have a following and then all the other shit. But um you just have to plan it out like well. So
Yeah.
like you should do the $100 startup thing like what we did. Uh, we actually have our own checklist thing that's on our website. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And during that disappearing December thing, I'm gonna be doing the magazine thing, so I'm gonna actually try to get like people to help with that. So there's gonna be the Kickstarter thing. There's gonna be stuff about like spotlights for like indie filmmakers, games. I want people to like do reviews for stuff like that. So
Yeah.
people like review your game, um, stuff like that. I think the Gavin guy also said. I think he's the one that said, "Oh, there used to be a comic or a magazine that was like called The Wizard or something." And I think I
Mhm.
heard that like one time, but I don't remember what it was. And it's basically that, but it's not. It wasn't for indie people. It was for like Marvel or whatever.
Oh,
And
like Wizard magazine. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't know that was a thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So somebody did have that idea.
Well, that's yeah. The magazine then transitioned into like conventions. So that's like Wizard World.
Oh, okay.
That's
So that,
yeah. That's Wizard. That's the
oh,
magazine.
maybe one day we'll have like our own convention. But I think the magazine would be a good idea to. It would be good for like actually doing the indie revolution, like actually being a thing, and people will actually be able to. You'll be able to print it, and I had an idea, but I don't know if it's like That's why I kind of wanted Dylan to be on here, or maybe you would know. If say like if you printed a few of those and you were at a convention, and I don't care if I take any of the money from that. If you get like let's say 90% of the profit from that, like you, since you're the one that printed them,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing we did was we have it on our store, or you
Mm-hmm.
get 100%. I don't give a shit. Would that be legal since it's on our website, but like you're the one printing it and selling it?
I would suppose that you would probably have to set up like some list of distributors. Like if this person's gonna go to a comic convention and you know that they're gonna sell your merchandise, like you would have to kind of like give them permission to do so. And then I would imagine too that you would probably have to have some legal form with whoever the contributors were. Like since it's not just going to be you personally writing like all the articles and collecting all the information, it's like a team of people. You probably have to have all their consent to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there would probably just have to be more of like a written contract towards everything so that everything just stays,
Like the
very.
agreement form that we have for our website, probably, but it would be for the magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Just yeah, written consent of everybody that's involved, and then all the information involved with having this person distributing your material at a comic book convention. So I know they're starting to be a lot more concise with what they're allowing like people to sell. And I know like there's licenses that are going around for people who are creating fan art that you have to have licenses from different companies to actually even do their characters or licensed trademark characters. So yeah, there's definitely going to be more of a legitimized feeling, I think, to a lot of these conventions moving forward. Like you really kind of have to have your business lined up with what you're doing with your creative work.
Mhm.
So that'll be a sort of change. But yeah, I really don't know the legalities or technicalities behind printing and selling a magazine like that. I would suppose, like, I guess again, if you're the creator of it and you have control or consent from everybody that's involved for other people to sell it and then not retain any of that money, I mean, I guess that's up to you, as the person who's creating it and then allowing people to distribute.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if Dylan would want percentage all the time, but um, I wouldn't really care if I just like if we sold it ourselves, we would get the money anyway. Um, and then you have to sell enough. Let's say you print like 10 of them, you have to sell enough to break even
With the
for
printing costs.
you would
Yeah.
I would probably make people have to print it through Ready Comics though. So
Right.
that's definitely like one thing. So I'm gonna try to like get as many people as I can to try to just print through them.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it might be a good idea to do it more like especially since you're doing it quarterly, to have it more something like newsletter kind of thing where it's like, okay, you subscribe to this and then you'll pay on a quarterly basis for a printed magazine. Or you could pay, as part of a subscription for just a digital copy. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So it's basically just up to them how they want to do it that way. But in terms of like going to a convention and having hard copies, I think it would actually be more efficient for whoever's going to then say, yeah, I want 10 of those. I'm going to put in an order for 10 of those. Maybe I'll pay for the printing of it, or we can discuss something about the cost of printing, and then that'll represent the percentages that you're receiving back. You know what I mean? So if we're going half and half on the printing, then that means I'm going to receive half on of the profits, and so are you, kind of thing.
yeah. Um,
I'm just saying that might be a good way to do it. That way, it's like I don't think that I think it's great to have people distributing the work at a convention and maybe that's enough, profit for you. You know what I mean? Like, okay, our work is out there, so that's good enough for me, right? But at the same time, if you attach, or if you're taking percentages, you could just say like, okay, well, if we're getting percentages back from people that are selling our books and or our magazine at Comic Cons, why don't we just use it towards supporting other indie comics? You know what I mean? Like maybe that'll be the fund that that'll be our Kickstarter fund. So whenever we get that money back, we're just throw it into a Kickstarter, into an indie Kickstarter or something like that.
yeah, I think I don't want to like completely quote them or anything because I don't really want to say anything. To us, comics gay people, which I don't really know anything about them.
Yeah.
I know like one thing like I think since they're exclusively like Indiegogo, I think they just recycle their money. So that's how like they get funded like all the time because there's enough of them to recycle their money to just go into different campaigns.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's how they always get funded. And so it's cool in a way that they actually get funded, but they're just like recycling their money, which is kind of like I get it's smart, but it's also kind of like stupid at the same time because you're not actually getting money.
Well, it's I suppose in terms of creating the community or keeping the community active, then
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense. But in terms of like one person or one company or one creator in that group of people, kind of becoming the bigger entity than all the rest of them,
yeah.
yeah, there's it's not going to happen that way. It's kind of like legit, like one for all kind of mentality.
I wish this one guy that I think he still wants to be part of our website, but I don't know. He actually did his Indiegogo the same time that we did our Kickstarter, and I kind of wish it was on Kickstarter because then I would have been able to like put money towards it at the time.
Mm.
Because Indiegogo, they take money out like literally as you like do it. So I was like, oh, I don't have money right now. It's called Oddity, so it's like this frog it's got a like a Spider-Man slash like horror.
Yeah, he used to be like one of the first comics
Yeah,
on the
and
site.
then I took it off of like the I don't know if it's up there at all actually anymore, but I got sick of like just seeing a coming soon thing for that.
Yeah.
I just asked him, but he hasn't like gotten back to me yet. But I'm hoping he still wants to be on there because I think that would attract a couple of people.
Yeah.
Uh, it just looks really good. So,
Sweet,
oh
man.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of having different contributors, I know we had talked, and I'm getting back into and kind of reevaluating, planning kind of how you're doing with the podcast, how I want to approach the Indie Inquest. So basically reviewing my first mission is to review all of the comics that are on Sierra Nova platform,
yeah,
starting with the free comics, so that way we can show people like these are the free comics that are on this website. So go and at least take a look at the free comics, and then hopefully you'll want to subscribe, for the paid membership and things like that. But yeah, I want to do the paid comics as well. So that's something that I'm really looking into. And one of the things that I wanted to do, with reevaluating how we're doing this, is being able to split, make one form of content but split it up between a lot of different forms. So one of the ways I'm going to do that is I'm going to do the Indie Inquest. It's going to be sectioned off, so now long form can become short forms, like different short forms with different categories and stuff like that. And then transcribing those things. So my audio is now going to be written down, and then just putting that as like an article or a blog post, stuff like that. So um what was it?
I was literally about to say that. I was gonna say what we could do is we could have the indie inquest. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Inquest. Yeah. We can have that as like one of the articles and or a couple, and we could have like three of them throughout the magazine, and that would be like your blog post kind
Right.
of article style for that. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean that's definitely something I'm creating anyway. And
Yeah.
if it fits into the format of the magazine, that'd be great. I know my writer Nate, he was interested in just doing articles like industry fan base, like fandom kind of articles, things like that. And I know he's really interested to be I think you guys are doing an interview pretty soon or something like that, or trying to
He
set up an
wants to,
interview.
yeah, he wants to do that too.
Yeah.
I think he wants
Yeah.
to be interviewed as like one of the articles or interviews that I'm going to be doing in it anyway. So
Yeah.
he'll be in that multiple times. So
Yeah. And he was pretty excited about it. And I think he has a lot of again, fan based, like he's a huge comic nerd. I mean, he's probably has over 1,000 plus comics in his small apartment that he has. So he's basically like living next to his collection kind of thing. But yeah, he's a huge comic fan, and he's a writer as well. So he's got that kind of like insight and then outside. You know what I mean? So he's like from the outside this is how I see things in the comic industry, and then being on the inside and actually creating, this is kind of like how I see things as well. So he has a really interesting way of writing things as well, because he reads and consumes so much comic material. It kind of like he's always drawing from these different writers, like, oh man, I like how he did this here, so I really want to incorporate some of those things into like how I'm writing. So if you're looking for a writer, that's pretty much what you want, right? Like you want somebody who's learning from the industry professionals and then kind of incorporating those things into their own work. So yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what comes from that article.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to make all the questions because I don't even know how many people. Like that post, I just put that post up and I was like, oh, I'll share it to a couple groups. And then
Yeah.
like the next morning, I'm interested. And then it was
Yeah.
like 40, 50 of those. And I was like, oh, okay. So let's say there's not that many game developers that answered. There's like a few because I have to get more into those like groups. But comic creators, there's like so many.
Yeah.
So everybody that's part of our platform is definitely in it. But I don't want people to be like, oh, well, you have to be part of their platform to be like more recognized. No. Like,
Right.
um, your indie thing will definitely be in it. Nate will have his interview, and then it'll just be like things that he wants to write, and any ideas that he has that could be in that. There's definitely be like filmmakers, musician stuff, anything indie related, even indie art. So like, I could just have a whole like full page, and it's just some random art, and
Hmm.
I could just put the artist name, and that's it. Like that, and you just flip through it, and then that could be that. I think Gavin also had an idea of putting like free shit with it, so like a poster or something. So
Hmm.
I could easily do that.
Yeah,
Um,
Wizard, talking about Wizard used to do that all the time. Like
yeah, that's what it,
any, yeah, any magazine that you bought came with something like a trading card, like from X-Men or some shit, or a poster or a postcard, and it always came like inside that like first page. So that was like always kind of like a cool thing I remember about buying those magazines when I was a kid.
yeah. So I'll definitely do that. And he doesn't think that that would be a problem from anybody because the amount of people that are interested in doing it already, and
Yeah.
just it was an idea that like I was just like, oh, what if we do this? And then everyone's like, do that now. I was like, okay.
And that's initially when you brought it up to me, I was like, yeah, that sounds like an amazing idea if we can keep up with it, because I
Yeah,
know like I've had various experiences throughout freelancing and doing different stuff. So I've worked for people doing design work that are doing magazines, so there's just a different way that you approach creating a magazine in terms of the layout, in terms of like how you contract different people, freelance different people and stuff like that. So it's a lot to keep track of. And really it's like you kind of have to have an experienced project manager kind of like just to keep track of everybody. Like you're saying, like you kind of got this overwhelming response of like all these creators, and then now you're like, okay, how do I keep them engaged and interested so they can be part of it? And then like how do I manage my time so that way I can get my stuff accomplished with Sierra Nova and then still handle the magazine, the aspects of the magazine and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a tough road, Greg. Let me just put it out there for you.
it was, I'm glad that someone gave me the idea to do like quarterly instead. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that's a way better idea. Because
yeah.
if I did it monthly, I would have to work on that every month and then work on our own stuff that we want to do. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it would be nearly impossible to do it on a monthly basis. I mean,
yeah.
even putting together comics is hard enough on a monthly basis,
And I didn't know
putting,
that until like a year ago. I was like,
yeah,
wow, it's gonna be easy, and I'm like, it's not easy at all. Plus,
uh,
I need to have like the when I want like a comic to come out. I first was gonna try to do it like based off like real time, which that's not possible. So like I wanted an artist to just work for me, but I'm like, that's not how that works. Um, and I was like, okay, Ricardo, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna release this comic every couple months, and it's gonna like go with the actual time of whatever it is. Let's say it's January 2020. It'll say that in the comic, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't work like that. So
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be like um you have already your set of artists, you're doing like only a certain amount of pages per, you know what I mean? So like 5 pages. And then you take whatever news event is going on during that month and then you just, kind of cash in on that point in time. Like, okay, it's going to be a little bit late, like in terms of like, it's not going to be actual real time, but it's going to at least have to do with like, if you went through, month to month of these 5 pages, you'd get a glimpse of what was going on, like
yeah.
through
So
that month.
once I figured that out, I was like, okay, so that's not going to happen anymore. But that newspaper that we are coming out with, it's also part of the map. That's one of the other things that works. You can actually go into the map, and I can actually edit it because you showed me the template of like how you do that, and like you edit like he has the title of the newspaper, the Daily Journal, and everything. So that'd be cool. Someone also I put that as a post too on Facebook. Because you should do native posts on Facebook if
Yeah.
anyone that's listening. Someone said they would be pretty cool to be like a real newspaper and like just a like newsletter thing like in an email or something. I was like, oh yeah. I was thinking of just the email until it picked up Steam. Um, but yeah, in printing that would be kind of annoying. Uh,
Yeah.
and I have to figure out what the because like I told Dylan like, oh, I want to actually do that, and he's like, you should try to figure out like if you can get a custom newspaper around like where I live.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
Well, I know the paper itself is pretty cheap. Newsprint is usually
Yeah,
like the cheapest kind of paper you can get. So that helps with the cost, I guess. But finding a printer who's willing to do like smaller um, print sizes for that kind of stuff, that might be troublesome.
yeah. But because I think it would be pretty cool to like you wake up and then you go outside and then someone mailed you like a newspaper that was like from a fictional story. That's I think.
You know what would be dope? Is maybe if you because like a newspaper, the way that they fill up this newspaper is like, obviously newsworthy events, but from a lot of different sections, like genre, entertainment. Sorry, someone's calling me. Give me a second. So like, entertainment, sports, all that kind of stuff, economic stuff.
Yeah,
So like, since that newspaper probably wouldn't cover that stuff, right? It would be more or less just like in like what's going on in game or what's going on, in terms of like the comic universe. So it'd kind of be cool if it was just like a one-page thing, like, and if you got sent to somebody, it would include maybe some free stuff from whoever the indie artists that are, that wanna, reach people, wanna give away some free stuff. Maybe just had a Kickstarter and they're flush with material to send out to people. I think that'd be a cool idea. Just kind of like again like a one page like newspaper. It'll fold over and then on the inside it'll just be different free stuff.
wow, you're popular. Um,
Just an
yeah,
idea.
yeah. I actually want to, because the map is gonna have a movie theater and all that stuff. I want to actually put like show times because we are gonna actually put like movies in there, indie movies.
Sick.
Um, yeah. Uh, I asked him if you could still do like the public domain stuff. He's like, yeah, I think that would still be like okay. Like around Christmas time, it's not an indie movie, but whatever. Uh, if you could actually like go onto our website and just sit down, because you'll actually be able to sit down in the seats, and watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
or A Christmas Story, which is my
Yeah.
um that'd be pretty cool. So I want to put like show times or whatever in the newspaper. What I have planned, I have so many like ideas just for like rewards and like other things like planned for the Kickstarter because one of the things I have as an idea for it is I want people to design or yeah, design and like come up with a name for like a sports team. I'm not big on
Mm,
sports, but like I would keep the sports that I actually care about, like maybe hockey and so or like football or whatever. And I would actually have a football stadium somewhere like in our city or whatever, and there could actually be like football games going on, and that will be mentioned in the comic. So like
mm.
the one person that comes up with a name that everybody picks, that's like, oh, that's a good name. They'll actually be the name that will be like resonated throughout the entire like universe. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, getting more things that like involve not just the creators, but everybody that's involved with like our fandom and stuff like that. Getting contests, giveaways, yeah, naming stuff. Having people get involved. Like that's something that we really really want for like our fandom and our following. Like we really want to engage people. So that's actually something that we've been thinking, how can we do this stuff like for 2020. First is our first goal, our first priority is getting the content out, and then our second priority is making sure that we can continue to create the content. So that's like crowdfunding, all that kind of stuff, monetizing in terms of making games and all that kind of stuff. So that's like priority number two, but priority kind of squeezed in there is really just engaging with people and finding out like what's working for you guys, first of all, and then second of all, like how can we get more people involved with like polls and questions and like things like that, anything like
Yeah, because
name a character.
I ask questions or whatever on Instagram or whatever, and like in a story or something, and not there's sometimes people are like, oh, that'd be a cool idea or whatever the question is, but there's not that many like interactions with stuff.
Yeah.
So I want more people to like we got like 1,000 something followers on Instagram alone. So I want people to actually interact. Uh,
Yeah.
so the more people that actually would interact and like say yes, no, or this would be a cool idea, that would be better.
I think it is too, is like, especially with like Facebook and like Instagram, especially, but like anything that's like scroll, like people just scroll now, scroll and tap, scroll and tap, scroll and tap. Like it really don't
Like
like sit there.
you just tap tap tap
Yeah.
the story. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I just want to clear it. It's like then why go on there in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean it's a lot of the time, I mean for me especially, I go on there to look like Instagram especially. I go on there and I'll look at different artists and stuff like that. But yeah, it's usually when I'm bored, when I don't have a lot of other stuff like going on. So I think that's kind of the thing, is like people just go on there for like entertainment. Yeah, they'll interact like with things that they do see and they like and stuff like that. But I don't think it's like really like a great interaction tool, Instagram itself. So yeah, we're looking into doing like, expanding just the not the platforms, but kind of like where we're seeking out interaction. So like blog posts, things like that, where you already have that community of people that are interacting and stuff. So that's why groups are great too. I mean, we joined like a couple office groups, just to like, kind of see like what people like are and try to see like, hey, like, would you be interested in playing our game kind of thing, like a little market testing kind of group. And yeah, they're so active, it's crazy, man. Like it's so nuts how office fandom is like still so high.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I'm still sad that it's going off of Netflix to go on to that other thing, but
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
um, what else was I gonna say? Um, there's something I was gonna say. What the fuck? Oh, Twitter is more for interacting. Actually, I figured that out over the course of the year because I
Yeah.
didn't really do Twitter until like up to the Kickstarter, and then I was like, I guess I should use Twitter. And that's what Gary Vee uses mostly is Twitter.
Yeah.
So if he's using that mostly, you should probably use Twitter. Uh,
Definitely.
um, yeah. So I'm just trying to get a team for the magazine. Um, I would try to get people that are One sec. Okay. Shit. Oh, shit. Yeah, it was an hour, so I had to like start another one.
Yeah.
Um. Uh. Oh. Some people get confused when they're trying to upload their comic to our website, or like someone just did. He's like, so that the new form that we made, well, Dylan made, was like people tell us like what the category is and what's it about and all that stuff. You said something in an email about like more of a description, and that would be way better because I should read every comic that's on there, but I'm busy doing other
Yeah.
stuff. But I do. I have read most of them. Some of them, like I have no idea, like really what's going on. There's like only a like select few that I'm like, well, I don't know what that really is about. Um, and you might know which comic I'm talking about, but there's
No name drops. No name drops. Don't worry, guys.
um uh but the one guy that just actually asked me, he was like, so I can't upload the file because it's like too big or something. I was like, oh yeah, just send it to our email. So after this I'm probably gonna like try to edit that
Yeah.
because he has it so you upload your files in that form and that like finishes the form for
Yeah.
everybody, and no one has been able to do that because it doesn't work because the
Oh,
PDF
okay.
file is too big compared to what it like actually allows. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, send it to our email. So we just have to like spell it out more for people. um
Uh, I mean, I'm not really trying to talk business in in this, but like, is that template helpful? Do you think that I sent you for like the for your guys' site? Like, would that be
I asked Dylan, but he hasn't really answered me because he's busy doing his own business too.
right?
Because that's the one that makes him money. So
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
uh,
Priorities.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year this actually picks up more. We did make kind of a lot of money, not a lot, but we made some money from January till now. So there's some back order things that we are dealing with, but we're fixing that before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, but I really want to like get everything clear on like what how you upload a comic to our website. And I really would like a back end like Comixology because it seems easier in a way. Because they can do it themselves and then they don't have to ask me questions all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to do that. He wants to have a whole profile and then like statistics for a creator. If like say you guys have your comic up there and well it is, but say your comic is on there and everything, and then you get to see like, oh, this is how many views I've had, and then that's how much you're expected to get that month.
Hmm.
That'd be cool whenever that finally happens. But yeah, he's more focused on his business right now. But I saw the template thing, and I think I could actually do that. It's just move the categories up one or whatever you said.
Well, the picture I sent was just for just to help separate, yeah, the categories and stuff. But the template was for the comic uploading. So basically, it's like and make sure they can save their work as a JPEG, and it's standard comic sizing. So basically, it's just a template to put it into your guys' format, which is like a 692 by 712.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Order on it and stuff like that. So they just take that PDF file or PSD file, and then they just put their comic page into it, take off the template, and then it has the resolution that they're gonna need, and it's gonna save their file like less than like a megabyte. So
Our template would be for people that like that's just to make their cover image or whatever.
No, you could do that with every single page. So
Oh,
basically, you would just have to resave your JPEG files basically into this format. So it just keeps the resolution high enough so that like it's not blurry, but the page isn't slowed down or they don't have any trouble uploading. It's too big. They won't have any of those problems. So
oh, okay, yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, the entire month of December, uh, I'm going to be doing a bunch of things, even though like I'm not gonna be on social media. I actually gonna take a break from it. Uh,
Right.
we're gonna be. I am going to be editing the podcast to split it into a bunch of different clips,
Right.
like Gary V. Um, and so that's all coming like next year. Like we're gonna just what I have right now on like Instagram is like the main platform I use is so Monday is the Music Monday thing, and then Wednesday is the comic thing, and then Friday is the filmmaker thing. I want to kind of like shy away from that in a way to instead of just doing one post around 10 p.m. at night, I want to try to do more than one post and not be spam, but like you should probably put as much as you can out there,
Yeah.
and that would
Well,
help.
what's funny is Dylan and I were talking about this because he's actually helping us with our social media.
Yeah,
Um, was yeah, I mean, even if you post numerous times a day, indie creators, just so you guys know, even if you post so many times a day, the algorithm is still gonna cut you down anyway. So it's there. You shouldn't have a fear of posting too much, like to a certain degree. Like if you're posting 10 times a day, then yeah, that's a little too much.
yeah,
But you know, a couple times a day, the algorithm is going to cut you down anyway for how many people. Even your followers see you. Facebook is the same way. So don't be afraid or shy to post multiple things in a day, like, and especially if you have a lot of content, which we do, and we just don't know. That's what Dylan's basically helping us out with is like we have a whole bunch of content, but I'm just too close to it to like separate it out, you know? So he's like separating it out for us and then like posting it. So
yeah.
so yeah. But yeah, don't be afraid of posting too much because yeah, the algorithm does a good job of keeping their news feed clear and clean, you know? So
Yeah. Their thing changed like after Instagram like got hacked or something happened a couple months ago. It was like
yeah.
uh
He
yeah,
has
whatever.
like a whole bunch of profiles got hacked.
Yeah, and then like it shut down for a little bit. Like something was going on. That happened twice, like in the summer or something. And I was like, oh shit. That's why it's like what Gary literally said. Like, if you are only if you're only on one platform and you expect it to always be there, then you're stupid.
Right?
So if you just post stuff on Instagram, like I post most of the stuff that are like that's newsworthy for our stuff on Instagram, but I share it to other places, which you shouldn't really do. You should have native stuff all over, and I'm going to start doing that next year. I just wanted to start getting like a rhythm of like actually doing it. But if Instagram, which it did twice in like this year, if it just went away one day, like out of nowhere, you wake up and Instagram isn't a thing,
Hmm.
and you're not like an influencer or whatever anymore, and then you're like fucked. Then what do
Yeah.
you do? Yeah. So and then people are like, where are they? And be like, oh, well, I'm not on Facebook because I don't have a Facebook page. Which don't know why anybody does not have that. Um,
Yeah.
you should have a
At
Facebook
least
page. You should be on Twitter. I even though I don't use Twitter as much, I'm going to start using Twitter more. Um, you should just interact with your community.
yeah.
Instagram, even if it goes away and something else comes and takes the place. Also, if you notice like a new app or something like getting bigger, like TikTok, he said TikTok. Even though I go on there, I just see 10-year-olds like lip syncing.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do things like this so much? I don't know. But yeah, so stuff like that. We were gonna do Snapchat, but I feel like I would be able to do more life stuff, like videos like every 5 seconds if I could, when I'm not actually at a job. If I
Right.
had my own office, like what he does, and he's like going to meetings and shit, I think I would definitely do it then. So I would have someone like follow me around or whatever, and people could just watch coffee or sleep.
Yeah. It's like it's going on an 8-hour marathon.
Yeah.
Watch me on TikTok.
Yeah. Um, just because I would do it now, but like I have never had a job where I can just like record myself and not get in trouble. And definitely at a job I have right now. So, because I'm a security guard at a place that's very strict. So, um, they would not like that
Mm.
at all. They don't actually allow cameras of any kind like to be used. So,
Mm.
but
Mm.
yeah. But you should be on every platform you can be on and actually use them. Don't just use like Instagram and expect everyone to just be like you're just like, oh, where's everybody? I'm like, well, they're on like Twitter right now, so like maybe you go over there too.
Yeah. I mean, it's the old principle of not having all your eggs in one basket, right? Like you
Yeah,
got to kind of like spread things around and make sure that you're not just like, you're not like you said, if that platform goes away, like then you have no trace that you ever existed, basically. Like you got to
yeah,
hit other platforms. And in terms of SEO, which is search engine optimization, if you're in more places or you're on more
it's all blurry.
search up, so
Yeah,
so yeah, it's definitely wiser and more beneficial to have your content in multiple places.
yeah, yeah. So next year for December, we're gonna be like getting stuff ready for next year. We're already starting to get stuff ready for next year.
Yeah.
I want to like make a post, but I don't know because then I would get like pressured. I would pressure myself into like actually trying to do it now. Is I was trying to find an artist for our next comic, or actually comics. Since our Kickstarter did well enough that we got 2 comics to come out, which is amazing. Um, I really wanted Ink to come out this year, and it did. So, uh, Ink and Seer Chronicles, but what I wanted was like all the Soul series that we have to come out, and um, well, what was I saying? So next year I want to have 2 more Soul series to come out, and not Ink, unless if I get money for that. But since that story is already starting to be told, then we don't need to put that out. But I want to get an artist for both of those, and I want the artist to try to have the same art for both of those. So I was thinking to try to find an artist for them, but then that would like pressure me into like maybe getting it done already. So
Yeah, I mean it's hard to reach out to an artist and be like, hey, so in the indeterminate future,
yeah,
I'll have some funding to create this comic book. I just want to see if you're on board right now. So like in 2 months' time, 3 months' time, like we can get this thing started. Yeah, it's kind of like once you have the funding, then you go and contact an artist and be like, hey, I like a service, I'm gonna pay for it right now, kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. Because Dylan was saying, "Oh, well, we can just use Kickstarter to like pay for everything." I was like, "That's not how it works, really." Like people do that, but I have to pay to get some art made already.
Yeah.
So I think how I'm gonna forever do it now, since it worked so well this time, um, the lettering and the coloring will be done um, while the Kickstarter is happening,
Right.
or like after, because I'll set it to a goal that will make sense and not $10,000. And uh, and the Soul series are less pages than like our graphic novel, but I also was gonna do 6 issues for each Soul series, and then something happened while I was at work. I was like, I read I had another guy like write the solo series that I'm putting out next year, Scales and the Brett story, and his two stories don't match up completely to each other.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, like for the one Brett story, the first issue is good. Well, they're both good, but the second doesn't really flow from the first one. Like
Mhm.
it's about him being a boxer, but it doesn't mention that much about that in the second one at all. So I'm like super confused, and it's like from 2 years ago, and I don't. I could ask him about it, but I don't want him changing stuff like after he already wrote it and everything, and he probably forgot really what it's about. Um, he could read it, obviously, but so I'm gonna just take both of those issues, like what he has, and then I'm gonna add on to it to like first I had him. He was gonna lose all his matches because I'm not the biggest fan of him in real life. Sometimes he's overwhelming. So his character was gonna lose like a bunch of matches, but the writer has having him win and do all this other shit. And I was like, no. But now I'm trying to work everything into this one story because this biker character we have, Pat, he was gonna have his own soul series, but I'm going to make it the graphic novel for those soul series because all those characters come together to like it connects with Seer Chronicles. They all come together to do their own shit, but it somehow connects to the other story. Um, his solo series is going to be like the graphic novel for all of them, and
Yeah.
that then later connects to our Seer Chronicles and all the other stuff. But
Yeah.
I wanted to tell his story faster because I just learned that the character for Pat in real life, that guy like has cancer. So I'm trying to speed the process up. Yeah. So I want to like try to
Right.
release it, but not release it so the work is shit. I want to try to release it in enough time and so the story doesn't feel rushed.
Sure.
So yeah. So I want to try to do that all quickly.
Well, yeah, I mean, ambitious timeline you got going here.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Um,
That's the name of the game. When you're an indie creator, you have to be ambitious and you have to push yourself, and especially, when you consider this your business, if you're just a hobbyist about it, or you're just kind of like looking to pad your portfolio until you can get a better offer from a bigger company or something like that. Making this your own dream, when you're making this your own escape route, I should say. You got to be ambitious and really take advantage of every hour, every minute, you know what I mean? Like you gotta hit the ground running every day and be proactive. And it's something that during this year was something that I was like, yeah, like I just kept saying, like, I'm gonna get your don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got this. You know what I mean? And obviously priorities of life. I got married this year. I started a new full-time job like at Maui Studio. So it was like all of those things then added on, took away time from me working on our stuff. So it was like Uriel and Goose was kind of like it's our comic that we're making the forefront of our company, but it's something that in my life is kind of like third place. You know what I mean? So um, it was definitely so. And then going into gaming too, it was like it doesn't require me too much, like because my partner is so he's the one who's in the game basically like games. I just come up with but yeah, it's all that time. You only have 24 hours in a day. You can't do everything, so being ambitious is great, but being realistic is greater. But you have to have that mentality of ambition. Like you have to have like if you're not generating ideas, then you probably shouldn't be doing anything anyway, right? So plan to yeah.
like cutting out.
I
Ah,
can hear you now.
yeah.
Well,
Oh. Hmm.
hear me, huh?
Oh, okay. Wow. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Now the video is a little bit better. Jeez. Okay. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So, like that's the only thing I can think of at work is because what I do is I sit and look at cameras all day, all night. So I don't really have anything else going on.
Right.
And I can't do anything besides that and watch TV. So I started to come up with ideas and like write them in my notes on my phone of I'm changing the arc for that Brett character, and he's not going to have 6 issues now because of that. I'm not rushing it, but I'm making it so it fits in everything else, so it all
Mm-hmm.
flows together. Because the second issue of the Seer Chronicles is actually going to be way longer than the first one because how the first one ends, uh, there's no there was no good time to end it because I wanted to just keep telling it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time we released it, it didn't have those 6 pages. So take those 6 pages out, and it was a weird spot to end. Like
Yeah.
this is a good spot, like cliffhanger, but like because someone did ask me like, oh, so like that nurse like I think it's had like the nurse like was holding that guy down and like had a knife to his throat, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, what happens next? So that's good because I want people to like actually ask me things like that. And then the next 6 pages it ends with like this character, and then he like confronts a guy that has a monkey in his basement.
Mm.
And you're like, what? That's a really weird place to end. But like, there's no other. Like, I'm like, well, I'm not a millionaire, so I had to like only pay to like that certain.
Yeah.
Um, so like, there are good places in my story of where I can like leave a cliffhanger, and that's what
Right.
I kind of want to do. Um, but for the first one, there was like no. I didn't want to like ever stop giving people or
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I'm like, well, I could just tell up to this point, and then I'm like, yeah, but then this new character comes in, and then they'll be like, who the fuck is that character? And I'd be like, shit. And then our artist gave us like some complications with like things that he did, like what he drew. This is why it didn't work out, and we're gonna get a different artist because of that. He like the Tyler character, he was supposed to be making breakfast, and I don't know who eats breakfast like this. Um, he had like fried chicken and fries on a plate.
Okay.
It was like a chicken wing or something. Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it on one of the pages. He's in his kitchen, like he looks like a scumbag because that's what he is. And he just like he has a plate of like chicken and fries. I'm like, that's not breakfast food. Like, what do you eat in Brazil? That's like I don't know.
I guess maybe he had leftovers from last night, bro.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I guess if people like readers want to like read that much into it, like I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so like then there's like certain connections that I want people to like get. So I didn't want to stop the story for that because I
Yeah.
want people to like start feeling for the certain character, like the Tyler character. Um, even though he's a scumbag, there's like one like sliver of like, oh, well, he's not a complete scumbag. Like he does this for this person, but there's a whole reason why he does certain things and everybody else does certain things. Um, but yeah, so the second issue is like way longer by
Yeah.
how many pages, and we're still editing it. That's another thing that we'll be doing during December is that, and then he's gonna be coming home from Nashville uh, to celebrate Christmas with his family. So because they're all like basically here.
Cool.
Yeah,
Sweet,
and
man. Yeah. I
yeah,
can't
and,
wait to I can't wait to get into some of our stories as well. Like just hearing you talk about your stuff, I'm like, man, I can't wait. I Cannot wait.
I could talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like, obviously, I just did that. But one person, well, yeah, it was probably you or something. One of the first people we ever talked to, I don't know if it was you or Dylan from Creepy Trees. Uh, we talked to for hours, but it was like, oh, so what do you have like planned? And then people don't really give a shit about other people, about like what you personally have like going on. So in a way, they do, obviously, because everyone wants to be a part of something. But I could just go on a tangent forever. Obviously, you just saw about my stories,
Yeah.
and people could be sitting there like, "Oh, okay, is he gonna shut the fuck up?" Or, well, I'm like, no, because like this is what I like to do, so I'm gonna
Right.
keep talking. But yeah. So I can't wait for like you to start like making more of your comics and stuff. That one tangent, like from probably a half hour ago. So we were on the IndieCom TV. Well, I was on the IndieCom TV thing, and they were looking at our like website, and they're like, "Yeah, there's like some people that I can see that are going to be big." The one comic that Todd, who was on our podcast before, he I don't think remembered who that comic that I'm about to mention is,
Hmm.
and he's like going through the comics. He's like, okay, so I think I've seen this ice pick guy before. I was like, oh yeah, that guy's like awesome. And then they looked at your cover
Hmm.
for New Leaf, and they're like, whoa, who's that? I'm like, New Leaf Comics. And then they're like, who are they? And I'm like, oh, they're like actually re-releasing this comic next year, and they're doing Kickstarter and everything. And he's like, that's like really good art. I was like, yeah, yeah. And he's
Thanks.
like, yeah. And he's like, um, I can definitely see these guys like being big, like bigger than. I was like, yeah, I can see all of these people. That's what most of
Right.
them. I can see most of them being bigger than what they are right now, and that's like the whole point. Like we want to first give you an audience, then you can go do whatever the fuck you want to do
Right.
after the point. So you'll be able to have your own map or whatever if you want. You'll have your own our website as your own thing later on down the road whenever you want to depart. But he's like that cover like looks all like manga kind of looking,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool.
What's cool is I mean, just to stay on the point you're talking about. So each talking about tangents and writing and trying to like find out a stopping point to like, to kind of break up your story and then into the covers. So the writer Chris of Uriel and Goose, he tends to write like in arcs, right? You know what I mean? So it's like he'll write this like grandiose thing, and then he's like, "That's one issue." I was like, "No way, there's no way." Like, so we actually he wrote 4 issues, right? Like initially that was his plan, right? 4 issues, and he's like, "I'm working on 5 and 6 and like all that stuff," right? And I was reading those 4 issues and I was like, these like this one issue is like 3 issues, bro. Like so basically that's how we're breaking up our series. So we want Yuri and Goose to be 12 issues, but we're doing them in threes. So basically like the first arc is 3 issues, the second arc is 3 issues, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So
What do you think
and each
that's like a thing that Dylan mentioned before. Something thirds. I forgot what it was. Um, but people like saying things in like threes.
oh,
So
the rule of thirds, yeah.
that. So like
Yeah.
when you see a car commercial, it's like the basic, the intermediate, and then the ultimate.
Yeah.
Like our subscription service, we're gonna have a third option. Feel like, oh, I don't want the basic because I don't want to be basic. I'm like, yeah, use your pumpkin spice. Okay, whatever. Um, yeah. So when I write, it was like over a 1,200 page story. So
Yeah.
then Dylan saw it and he's like, that is like, and then I'm just like him. So like I was like, this is one comic, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you have the money for that? Like all the art?" And I'm like, "It can't be that much." Then I like found people.
Obviously.
Yeah, when I found
First
out
project.
that was wrong, and then he's like, "How much is it?" I was like, "Well, this one guy from Japan is like $35 a page, and then he just but the new artist that we have for like ink, he's like 65 or $60 a page." And I was like, "Oh, so 60 times like 1,200, yeah,
Yeah. And then you're just talking what? Probably just line work, and
yeah,
and
yeah."
then
And
you
then
still have to
trying to
pay a
fix the
colorist and
coloring,
letterer and yeah.
coloring, it doesn't take that much time, money. Lettering and coloring, I found like really good people, and it's not even that much money to do it. That's pretty cool.
Sure.
Oh, um, because I we're finally getting ink colored, and I should probably make an update in our Kickstarter about that. I found out yesterday that our colorist actually does storyboarding for animating like shows and shit. Like that's his
Sweet.
other thing that's his main thing that he does.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I just saw like this thing from Taurus Comics. Um, and he's like, yeah, like if you know anybody that wants to like do animation or anything, like let me know. And I was like, okay, well, I do. Okay, so I'll send you like stuff like that for that then. And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I forgot all about that until now. But yeah, he does that. So I actually really want to do like animation and stuff. I like secretly want to be a voice actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my long-term goals as well.
Yeah.
Uh, oh.
Um,
But yeah, dude. Yeah, just to wrap up what I was saying really quickly about the covers,
yeah.
because you dude had mentioned it. So, in that series, the art in every arc, all the covers are gonna be like shadows. So basically, like the second one is gonna be in the same, like they're all gonna look like they're similar. You know what I mean? So like arc one, all the covers are gonna be kind of the same like format. Where it's like you said, like the manga kind of like all the characters are kind of like in that one little grouping. And then you just have like your background behind it. So all of those would be the same and stuff. And then we're gonna have um, so the second issue is actually a bit shorter than the first. It's only about 20 pages. But that issue is basically like finishing the action from the first one, and then it kind of leads into the third. So that book is going to be a lot quicker in terms of like how you read it. So hopefully we're hoping that, you know, we put out issue one and then we do a Kickstarter to fund issue two, that one will be released super quick. You know what I mean? Especially because there'll be some funding behind it. So hopefully that one's released really quickly, and then number three will be really soon to follow after that, and we'll probably do a Kickstarter for to do like a whole package series. So basically, not a graphic novel, but it'll be, you know, one, two, and three, the whole arc packaged together, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's the comics launch podcast, the Tyler James guy. He because I was listening to those before I started our Kickstarter. There's like a rule, not a rule. It's like a method that people should use if you do like 2 issues or 3 issues for a Kickstarter. Um, so you don't put issue two. You don't just do issue two. You do one and two. So you do like whatever the title is, Uriel and Goose, and then it's number one, like hyphen two, and then
Mm,
people will get both of those. So
right.
when your second one for Seer Chronicles, it'll be um, the same format.
Yeah,
Like
get like caught up basically. Like if
yeah,
you're just entering in and seeing it, this Kickstarter is on issue two, that's what we're funding, but now, you know, we have a issue one that you can get with it as well.
yeah, because now the rewards will be like you can just get two, or you can get one and two if you want both. Or yeah, I can't wait to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
man. Well, yeah, man, it was great spending this time with you. As always, we always have like good conversations, and there's a lot going on, and hopefully we can just continue to make progress together, because I know since we've started this bond, this heroes bond, we've both definitely increased in our awareness and production and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just really excited that, you know, collectively we're moving forward and stuff. So
Yeah. What I was gonna say. Oh, um, we since we're not gonna be on in like December at all, and it'll be after Thanksgiving. The last episode in November will probably be our like holiday episode. So I'm gonna try to hopefully actually have Dylan like do that, and we'll actually like have like a specific like holiday. It's just a holiday theme. Um, I'll talk about whatever. Like I want to try to have you on for that one, and then we'll
sweet.
talk about like whatever is going on during that time, and obviously the Kickstarter that's coming up to like kind of get people ready for that and
Yeah.
still January. Um, all
Well,
that
yeah,
stuff.
you guys will be disappearing for December, but we're gonna be like high gear. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like we're gonna be all over Instagram, Facebook, and in November and December. So,
yeah,
um, yeah.
yeah. I really can't wait to just disappear. I'll be on my own shit. So like, if you
Yeah,
ever, anybody ever still needs to like talk to me, but like, I will not be posting anything on Sierra Nova Facebook or Twitter or anything. It's gonna just be like what happened to them for a little bit. But I
right.
think a lot of people would like think that we like just gave up. Like no, we were just going away for a little while so we can actually do a bunch of other shit that we have to do. Like I have to organize our Google Drive thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we definitely have to do. But
Well, sweet,
so,
man. I mean, yeah, we're definitely moving forward, man. So
yeah,
thanks for everybody that's watching.
yeah,
Again, I'm Hector Hilo at New Leaf Comics. Please come check us out if you haven't checked us out yet. We do have a Kickstarter coming out in January. Haven't selected a date yet, but we'll be closing in on that. But it'll be to fund our second issue of our series. Our first issue is I'm literally finishing it up like this weekend. So it will be out in November, full issue on Sierra Nova platform. It'll also be on our website, soon to follow on Webtoons and Tapas. And we're also, I mean, this is something that we just kind of floated around. We're also trying to get it on YouTube as like a kind of not a live comic. I don't even know what it's called, but basically,
comic. There's people on our website. He goes by Nick Eats People.
okay.
Instagram, but their like comic thing is called Upward Slash.
Mm.
They do that for their Don't Eat Meat comic or whatever. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, so he would probably be able to be the person to like reach out to like help you with that. I think that's the
Sick.
same kind of thing that you want to do.
Yeah, just basically like, you know, scroll and have dialogue, you know, basically on YouTube, make YouTube videos. Basically, that's just a comic, but you can see it in a video format.
Yeah, that's also a thing that's coming from our platform. Actually, is like if like animated comics. So that's
Yeah. No,
also
those I mean we've actually wanted to do those for a while, and there's some software out there that's helpful. But we just haven't we don't have enough comics to do that yet. So once we have more material out there and we're able to like really hit some more projects, we'll definitely be doing some different stuff and looking to expand our staff. We don't have a staff. We just have people that are contributing. But
wow.
yeah, we're gonna add in more people and stuff. Be more into game development and animation and all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely excited about 2020. You know, 2019 was a great year, and yeah, we're moving forward with that in mind.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on and everything, and you'll probably be on the holiday episode of where we do. And
They're
okay,
getting tired of me already, Greg. You got to get some new guests, man. Totally joking. Please keep me on. I'm totally fine with this. But no, yeah, it was great talking to you, man.
I don't know how some podcasts would go with just talking to each other. Like there is a podcast that we were just on, and the first half of the podcast is them just talking to each other. Basically, how this is.
Yeah.
You're not a guest, so it's just them two talking to each other, and then they bring on us. But yeah, um, yeah. So thanks for coming on again for like the third time or fourth, and you'll definitely be on again before the end of the year. And okay.
Awesome. Should I get like a Santa hat for
I was
that?
really thinking we should probably like wear Santa hats or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
all film stuff. So like, because I have so many ideas, like just little short things we could do. But all right.
Time. Time is our enemy, my friend. All
All
right, bro.
right. See ya.
Later.